I'm Sandra Marks, owner of Marks & Associates, and we're the diversity consultants of the WashU Medical Campus Renewal Project. And as many of you all have already found out, we're very engaged in the process, along with BJC, of building the capacity of minority and women-owned firms in the healthcare construction industry. And just for a little background, my company, Marks & Associates, has been on board now actually a year, almost to the day. I feel like, Kevin, right? Wasn't your first meeting like a year ago today? Almost to the first, yes, a year. Thank you. You haven't fired us yet. We're good. No. But we have been a partner with BJC for a year now, and really spent the majority of this first year finding all of you. And to our benefit as part of being their consultants, most of you we know. And so it was really a lot of effort in the first part of this year in bringing you all to the table, letting you know that BJC wanted to do business with you, and that there's some things that are different about how BJC in particular is approaching this campus renewal project and the way things perhaps have been in the past. But now today, your presence here tells BJC that you also want to do business with them. So I want to applaud you for filling this room, because that's what it really takes. Thank you so much. Is that we can talk all day and say, okay, BJC, we have all these great companies in St. Louis that are, in many cases, established and have been around for a long time. In other cases, emerging companies that perhaps they don't know, and they want to do business. But then if we had walked in this room this morning and saw two people, it would have been for naught. So the fact that you also have taken a commitment, and I know, because I know most of you, that you all are the owners of these companies. So you didn't send somebody. You're coming here because you recognize that as part of your own strategic plan, healthcare is a market that would be wise to get very familiar with. In particular in the St. Louis area, healthcare is a very large portion of the construction going on in St. Louis. And it's continuous. So we know we have a lot of other great projects happening, a lot of mega projects that are coming on board. But when you look at the hospitals in this region, and you look at what's been happening and the types of work that's going on, to make a decision strategically to be in the healthcare marketplace, healthcare construction, is a wise decision. So as an owner, that's really what you're doing here. You say, I'm going to invest a little time, 4 sessions out of the year, to really understand this market, different than what may be going on with other customers that you have. Now, the way we got here as your consultants is that as we began to look at how to put together the team to fill the desires of BJC, it broke into 3 pieces. The first being outreach, education, and training, which really is my expertise. And many of you have had classes that I've either designed, or in some cases, I was the instructor. Some of you I remember from the business of construction. How many of you were in the business of construction, which was now over 20 years ago? I see Ted, Marion. We had a class, most of you, and some of the companies I know were here because your owners were in that course. But we created that course back in 1998 as a result of Washington University's desire to try to do something different. But that was a course that just talked about how to get into the commercial side. So I was one of the people that they thought it would make sense to have in this contractual relationship with BJC because of the outreach, education, and training. So I head up that division of our company, and Arthur Porter, who you'll meet, is the lead instructor for the business side of our training, business and workforce. And most of you, if not, I know a large number of you all, have been in classes that Arthur Porter has taught over the years. So if you don't know me or Arthur, or you haven't been in one of our classes yet, you're in for a great time. No one goes to sleep in our class, and everybody leaves learning something. So I'm proud to have that piece. But then there was a piece that dealt with the construction side. So that division became the Construction Technical Support Division, headed up by Kevin Swan. But we had to think about how are we going to, as Kevin is working to get opportunities on campus renewal, get companies positioned on campus renewal, after they get on campus renewal, build their company, how are we going to address this issue again of outreach, education, and training of the healthcare industry? Well, if you haven't already been in a class that Marvin Johnson has taught, because Marvin also has been teaching and training on construction management and techniques to build your business for over, I don't know, the first time we did something together was maybe 20, I feel like 20 years ago, but couldn't be, I'm not that old. But 15, I don't know. But Marvin and I have done several classes together. As a matter of fact, in the Business of Construction course that I designed, Marvin was the one that would come in and teach construction management. So it was no mystery when we began to put together the training piece of this that Marvin was going to write a course called BJC 101. Because who better to teach BJC 101 than Marvin Johnson? And as you'll learn more about his background, you'll understand why that made sense. So Marvin designed BJC 101. Marks & Associates designed a complement to that, which you'll hear about from Arthur Porter, which is the online coaching that we'll be providing to you in addition to what Marvin's doing. So you're really participating in two things. We knew that we could not possibly get you to come to a workshop every month. The fact that you're here today is wonderful, but I know you've got businesses to run. So one of the things I said to BJC was, if I create a course and everybody has to come to my course and sit down and go through workshops, we're not going to get anywhere. So Marvin has designed some very detailed and heavy-packed courses that you would attend quarterly that you've seen. Arthur will be talking to you online through an online computer system that he'll tell you about routinely in between the courses. And that doesn't require you to come see us. You don't have to come into the office. You don't have to come see us. We'll be talking to you. We'll talk to you. You'll talk back to us. That way we can get both of these things done at the same time. So that's really what you're participating in. It's exciting to see the presence of the companies here because this is what it's going to take to build the capacity we need to handle the campus renewal project. You're going to be introduced to other people all through here, so I promised I wouldn't take too long because I told Marvin, you know, I just stand up and do the 3 hours and there won't be anything left. But you'll see that this is a real course. It's a 5-year certificate course. You know why it's 5 years? Because that coincides with the first phase of campus renewal. And one of the things that they did in our project was look at the fact that if we do things right in the first phase, the second phase will be elevated even higher. So we intentionally wanted this to run in sync with campus renewal. We also have a piece that you'll hear about from Marvin called training under contract. You know, there's a difference in education versus training. Education is what you're getting in these courses, where Marvin's going to pour everything he knows about healthcare. He's going to bring other people in who are going to pour everything they know about the healthcare construction industry into you as an owner. And then you take that on and transfer that knowledge. Training is when you practice what it is that you were learned. Training under contract, which is something new that I made up, is when you actually are doing it while you're doing a BJC contract. So some of you are already engaged on campus renewal, and I want to applaud that. And now you'll be getting training under contract. So that's really how we've tried to make this very unique. The thing I want to say, and then I'll sit down, is the good thing about having a trainer like Arthur Porter and a trainer like Marvin Johnson is everybody isn't good at training. A lot of people have a lot of knowledge, but how many of you all, just like me, have sat in a course with a professor who you knew was a genius, and they stood there and talked for 3 hours, and when they sat down, if you had stayed awake that long, you didn't have a clue what they were talking about? Raise your hand if you've had the experience. You sat there, you might even ask a couple questions, but when they left, you didn't know any more than before. That's an example of a person who is very knowledgeable, but haven't developed the skill of transferring that knowledge. So what you really have in Arthur Porter and Marvin Johnson, I have to tell you, are two people that I know have the gift of transferring knowledge. If you don't get it, they break it down a different way. If you ask a question, they try to make sure it makes sense what the response is. So I applaud my two co-trainers and look forward to 5 years of wonderful interchange between all of us. So with that, Marvin, I'll take it.
Look around the room. Look at the person next to you, left and right, the person behind you. You won't see this anywhere else in St. Louis. I would challenge anyone in any organization, for-profit, not-for-profit, industry-related, directly, indirectly, it doesn't matter. You won't find the individuals that are interested in growing and developing their business the way you guys have showed out this morning. And it makes my heart glad because at some point in time I've probably met with each and every one of you, and I know your stories, and for the most part you know my story. But we're here today to change the game. The way things were done in the past, I call it phase one. The last 30 years, 27 in my case, in terms of how long I've been in the industry, and the way we've gone about trying to build small businesses, the way we've gone about trying to identify opportunities for them, the way we've contracted with them, the way we've attempted to train, the way we've attempted, that's all changing. It's all changing. Today, it changes. In the past, we've thrown you a fish. You've heard the saying in your time, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Anybody heard of that? Starting today, we learn how to fish. Today, we will learn how to fish. And for the next 5 years, not only will we fish, we're going to store up some of that fish, right? We're going to build some wealth. We're going to talk about some of those things that haven't really talked about, because we just talked about giving you a contract and that's supposed to be enough. And those things are not specific to campus renewal or PD&C, they're just about building your business. And as those opportunities come through the pipeline and we identify them for you or you identify them for yourself, my goal is that you will be ready. You will be ready to seize those opportunities. As I used to say, that chance favors the prepared mind. So we're going to make sure our mind is prepared so we can seize those opportunities. Because opportunities doesn't always knock. You know, sometimes you don't recognize it. It walk right by you, and you don't even see it because you didn't prepare your mind. So today we've got quite a bit to do. There's a few other introductions, and we're not going to get technical today. You know, we're not going to talk about reading a concrete break report. You know, we're not going to talk about hanging bariatric equipment or difference between a clean room, you know, and an isolation room. We're not going to talk about any of that today. Today, we're going to inspire ourselves. Because believe it or not, we're going to need that inspiration for the next 5 years. You're going to need every moment of it. And you're going to have to re-inspire yourself every week, every month, in order to make it through this journey. No, that's not it. Okay. Before I introduce a few other people on the team, tell you a little bit about myself. Construction manager by trade. This is my 27th year, I believe, in October. I've been very fortunate and very blessed to learn by the best. There was a gentleman who worked for Hunt Construction, a national GC and CM. Terry, I'm sure you probably heard of him. Named Sid Perkins. Sid Perkins took me under his wing during the 3 years that I was a senior project manager building the Cardinals ballpark. And, you know, I felt I was pretty good, but he took me to a level unprecedented in terms of knowledge, management, skill, communication, etc. Sometimes you don't know people influence your life. You don't even know, you know, the impact until you're challenged with other things. But for me, you know, pay no attention to some of the things that's on there. I just had to fill that up. But you know, at the end of the day, it's important that you understand that you're dealing with an individual who walked down the road that you are on. That's what's most important, not what's on there. I could stand here, or I could come and sit in that chair right there. Either way, I'm connected with you, right? I'm not a gatekeeper who's there to manage how things get distributed out. I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. So when I talk to you, and we talk about some of the struggles that you have that I've experienced, you know, we're talking one-on-one. I'm not telling you something that I read in a book. I'm telling you something real. And you feel it because you're experiencing it. And we'll be able to talk about that. And my goal as you get to meet the person next to you and behind you over this period of time is that we help each other run our businesses more effectively. That's my goal. We all have a goal of getting contracts and generating revenue, but my goal is that we run our businesses more effectively because that's how we grow. So there's a few, before I get to Arthur, there's a couple of people that would like to come up and say hello, but before I do that, I couldn't go any further without thanking my team, which is in the back, Jennifer and Kyria, and I think Jessica may have left. Has she left already? Who put all of this together, all of the binders and all of the, they took what I had here and put it into that format that you have. We wanted something that you can take away, you can keep with you, bring back each session, new PowerPoint presentation, stick it in there. You have reference material. You have a folder that has a notepad. If you aren't writing notes, you can't be here. Because notes is what we use, to go back when we're in our office and we're trying to remember what he said, what that statistic was or whatever it was. So we have to take notes. And so I just took the liberty of putting a notepad in there. There may even be an ink pen in there, I don't know. But if not, hopefully you brought your own ink pen. So that's my team. And they say you are only as good as the people you surround yourself with. Anybody believe that? You are only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And I choose at all times to surround myself with powerful people, people who think like I do, people who, when you say no to them, it only means I'll be back tomorrow, right? And so that's what I choose to do, and we're going to talk about that eventually, because it's important as you walk down this journey and you prepare yourself for these opportunities at PDNC and on the Campus Renewal Project, that you're surrounding yourself with the right type of people who will help prepare you. Because I guarantee you, if you don't, you won't be ready and your company won't be ready. We have to compete for the same talent as the parents of the world and the other architects and engineers who are in the toolbox. You might not believe that, but I have some statistics in an article that talk about small business and how they will compete for that talent. So don't sell yourself short. So that's my team, and I wanted to thank them. Sandra mentioned Arthur Porter, so Arthur will come up in a minute. Mike Brown is one of my project managers, and Mike's been with me off and on for years. He was with me back in the 90s. So I went back and pulled some of that talent. So when you say, what do you mean back with you in the 90s? I owned a business 10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that. And as we get into more intimate sessions, I'm going to tell you about that. I had a business for 14 years, and it was successful, very successful. But I lost that business. So the question is, why? So we're going to talk about that. Not today, but we're going to get into that as part of our intimate sessions on strategies and how you identify when you are having problems and what can you do to mitigate those problems. So Mike's here. Sandra mentioned Kevin Swan, and I want to give him a few moments because he is the project executive for the campus renewal piece for Marks and Associates, and I would not move forward without giving him a moment to say hello. Kevin.
This program is about capacity building, and the Kings Highway project, as you know, has been taking a while to get started. Some of you are in negotiations now, some of you are already working, but now we're at a point where we're ready to go. I would encourage you to take this discussion today very seriously. There are people who are chomping at the bit to get this work. This is a very healthy market to get into. There are people out of town wanting to take your seat. You guys got to step up. You got to help us help you build that capacity. We need to understand your core competency so we can articulate that to the client, figure out ways to engage you in the process, because this train is moving. It's moving fast now that we've got the project calibrated. But there are other projects that you'll hear about that BJC has that they want to engage you with. So it's gotten larger than just the Kings Highway project. So we're relying a lot on you guys. I'm glad to see you all here today. Please take this very serious. We're hoping that we can use everyone in this room at some point. We've got a long way to go. I'm a little curious, how many people on the professional service side? Wow. Great. On the construction side? So we've got a really good balance. That's great. So thank you for coming. If I don't know you, if we haven't had a chance to sit down and talk, please get at me and let's have an opportunity to talk. They are very serious about this. It's not check a box or a percentage. This is a different program. This is a private owner employing some degree of public policy, but they want to build capacity. They want to see you different tomorrow than you are today, so we can continue to grow these firms here locally. That's very important to me. As you all know me, I'm a straight shooter. I'm very frank about what I do and when I talk to you. Most of you know that. If you don't, you will. There's some good people in this room that are part of the BJC staff that really believe in this and really sincerely want to make it happen. But you guys got to step up and really engage in this whole healthcare space and get to know it and be a part of it. And like I said, there are people watching all of this work in St. Louis. It's your opportunity to seize this perfect storm. So you got a lot to learn today, and I'll turn it back over to Marvin and the team. Thank you.